I'm hearing double. Okay, now it's gone. That was pretty odd. Anyway, just give a few minutes for people to drop by, whoever wants to join the session today. Okay, that is weird because I hear myself on the. Let's put that on headphones. That way, it's not a problem. And I have to check if here it's working or not. All right, so far so good. There's a lot of stuff today, so I'm gonna have to, I mean, for the live stream anyway, I'm gonna have to kind of play some stuff and then check it, make sure that the audio is recording, and then I can continue. So anyway, today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna review a random movie of mine. Depends on what the Wheel of Fortune falls on, and then I'm gonna talk about the news headlines for the past week. Um, just while we're waiting, my health is still not in a great condition. These past few days have been better, but it seems to me that there's one medicine. It's actually a headache medicine, which I don't know. It gives me some very strange side effects. Actually, one time, um, this was the only thing I took before going out, so I didn't like eat anything or take other medicine. Anyway, I go out to the supermarket, and while I'm there, the tip of my finger suddenly just becomes numb and, well, dead actually. So um, it I don't know. It took a while to bring back. It needed some warm pads and well, just some like knocking like this. But that was pretty bizarre. I don't think that is included in the list of side effects of that medicine. And on Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember. It just it just made my GERD much worse. Man, it felt like this whole tract, throat, was just like on fire. Everything I was swallowing just felt like almost like swallowing lava or something. Very unpleasant feeling. And of course, I always have this some kind of feeling like that. But man, if it's just less painful, then it's of course best. So I'm gonna avoid that medicine from now on. There's other headache pills I can take, which don't seem to give me any weird reactions like that. Um, Again, while we're just waiting a couple minutes more, so I'm just working on another audio gig. I just completed it actually today, so I'll send it later. And these are paid voiceover gigs, so it's always good thing. I did record that little voiceover for my friend as well. He wants to use it for his gaming channel. That's cool. The first time I recorded voiceover, well, actually, I was recording stuff ever since like high school days. Um, but when I actually started recording it for videos, my friend told me that if I make my voice proper, then I sound like Vincent Price, the actor. So yeah, I'm trying to do more stuff with voiceovers and stuff like that. You know, I have a lot of time, if anything. So and there was something else I wanted to mention, but I totally forgot. Anyway, I'll probably come back to me and I'll mention it during the show later on. So today, well, actually, let's get started. I'm just gonna do a 3, 2, 1. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and welcome to Age of Reason News. Well, we're gonna start with episode 8 today, and I will be reviewing one of my movies. I don't know which, but the Wheel of Fortune will reveal it. So let's go to that. Okay, so first of all, I have to switch the screens, and that is over here. Just to be sure, and that is over here. Should be like this, I guess. Okay, so I already did some stuff, so obviously if it falls again on something that I already covered, I'm just gonna respin the wheel. Should be like this, I guess. Okay, so I already did some stuff, so obviously if it falls again on something that I already covered, Silent Hill. Okay, great. So this is actually good because I wrote a book, which is right here, Beyond the Obscure. Guys, please get it. I've made already, this is the 8th, and this is actually, well, according to 9th video. In this series alone, I keep posting a bunch of stuff on the internet, on Facebook. I know it's hard to tell people to buy stuff, but please do get my books and enjoy my films. This is stuff that you will not see elsewhere. You know, my view of thinking in life is actually not so common, let's say. I don't, I don't hold beliefs. I don't like the word belief, but I hold certain positions based on evidence, based on rational evidence. And so all of these thoughts go into my art. So they go into my films, they go into my book as well. This is deep stuff. This is not some kind of cheap entertainment thing you can get and then forget about it. This is meant to be remembered. So please support me. All the links are in the description of the video and on various Facebook promotional posts. And then forget about it. Anyway, let's talk about this film. So first of all, the links are I have to video and on various Facebook promotional posts to load up the correct movie. Anyway, let's talk about this film. So first of all, the links are I have to video and on various Facebook. For that, I'm gonna need the headphones. Anyway, let's talk about this film. So first of all, the links are I have to video and on various Facebook. For that, I'm gonna need the. Okay, and I understand why the audio was looping, because I had the stream going, but hopefully it's fixed. But let me double check that, because I had this. It seems to be only in that computer for some reason. All right. Anyway, okay, let's bring that back and let's make that full screen. Just okay, I just wanted to have a screen instead of a black image on the screen. So, information about this film. This story of the film is a portion of this book that you see here. It's all my work, so I'm not plagiarizing anything whatsoever. Yeah, the idea was before there was no book, and I just wanted to make a short film. So we ended up with this 15-20 minute long project, and then later I decided to expand that to an actual book. So let's take that story. As you see, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here, so there's a lot of material to work with. And so we take that, I took it, and basically I expanded it into book format. So I like to work, I know that the original book structure is in 3 parts. Basically you have the introduction, development, and conclusion, but I like to work in 6, where the first and the last parts are the same, but instead of one kind of development thing, I actually have 4 parts. And the cool thing about my work also is that actually you can take, I call it modular design. So you can take each module, which is about 20, 25 pages or so, and you can put it in front or after another module of equal length, and the story will still work with very, very minor adjustments. So this is my way of working. It's the way that I find the easiest. So anyway, let's see what the movie has. I haven't seen this in a while, actually, by the way.
My name is Alex. At least I think it is. Something has happened here. Something terrible. My head hurts.
So this is my bear. I still have it. It's still in good shape. This is a bear that I carry pretty much everywhere with me. And the other two, I'm not sure what happened to them. The dog, I actually do have this dog, but I bought it later, so this is a different dog I have now. Anyway, pretty simple stuff here. We have an intro to the story, so this character lying in the bed alone, and, well, something has happened. We don't know what yet. Just to explain here for people, of course, this is not, I know, I can't copyright the Silent Hill theme. That's why the book is called Beyond the Obscure. Now that is the real title of the project. Okay, it's true, I admit here, I did call this movie Silent Hill because it would attract more people. A lot of people do know the franchise at least, so yeah, I was playing a little bit for that. But you know what though? This movie could very well be a Silent Hill film if, I went through the proper channels and stuff like that.
How long do you expect to be here for? You promised me that we'd have a child, a house, a future. You lied to me, Alex.
I lied? I don't understand. Everything changed. This whole place has changed. What used to be a prosperous town is now nothing more but slums.
What's the matter, dear?
So yeah, for people who don't know Silent Hill at all, well, first of all, it started as a game series. The story is always, there is some kind of item or, well, I mean, in the second one anyway, it was a letter, I think, that comes from that town, but most people know that that town is abandoned, so who the hell is writing letters, right? Yeah, it's a mystery, kind of thriller, horror story. And so here we have, I wanted to introduce this the same way. They live in this place, but it's starting to just look and feel different.
I'm just lost in thought. Would you believe me if I told you that I'm not from around here?
You're me again? Come on, Alex. If you're not from here, where else would you be from?
I don't remember. I remember people, grass, colors. All of that is gone now.
Did you catch cold again? You're having weird thoughts. Don't think too much. You'll hurt yourself.
Psst. Hey, man. Strange times to be hanging outside, dude.
What are you doing here?
I heard someone in the neighborhood's got some issues.
There's nobody
I'm
living
talking
around.
about you, man.
So yeah, I did notice there was a person there in the background in the first shot. That was not intended. Of course, ideally we wanted an absolutely deserted road, but you know, good luck having that these days where people are popping out from all sorts of directions. Yeah, I really like the work that Paolo did here. I actually did him very little direction. I mean, yes, he's a kind of gangster guy. I just it was a recommendation from the cameraman actually, and definitely he nailed the role.
Maria, she's out of control.
How do you know?
Check this out.
Your girlfriend, your chick, your main squeeze out with another guy.
She betrayed me.
Right from the very start, man. Right from under your nose. You didn't even know it.
But I got something that can help you out.
So yeah, again, here I just wanted to plant the idea. Ideas are very powerful things. They work like seeds. I think the best example I can think of is if you watch the movie Inception. Yeah, if you plant an idea into the mind of a person, in this case, you know, he's showing a photo of probably his girlfriend, you know, having sex with someone or anything like that. The photo could well be fake, especially like these days we have Photoshop and all sorts of various tools. You know, you can just take someone's head basically and stick it on some porn star's body and wow, look, I mean, now she's a porn star. It's not like that. But thoughts and ideas are extremely powerful things, more powerful than people think.
Hey, hide that shit, man. Do what you gotta do.
Wait, that's what he said. Well, nah, I'm not sure. No, please, no, no!
In the book, that particular scene is much more horrifying. So please do get the book. Yeah, it's a pretty strong scene there, definitely.
What is this? What are you doing in my house? What happened to your face?
Alex, what's wrong with you? What's wrong?
So again, we show a difference of realities. There are two realities and they're basically colliding. So one of them is where everything is changing into this horrific world with creatures. And of course the other one is the regular one. But things are starting to change and it's like the two realities are overlapping, I should say.
What just happened?
What do you mean? I was just washing the dishes and you began to freak out.
It was just another nightmare. My head. My head.
Alex. Alex.
It's such a beautiful night. Do you remember our first night together? Took my hand, I was lost for words. In our universe, so happy. Promise me eternal sunshine. In the end, it all just faded.
So I actually wrote that song, and there is a full version of that on YouTube. I'm just gonna, it's a live stream, so a lot of stuff can be edited. So here I wanted to show the same scene as before. Of course, it's with a different woman. It's with his ex. And, everything was seemingly okay, but then something happened.
Maria?
This, by the way, was a very tricky shot because there was a problem with the lighting or something like that. And you can see here that there is a lot of masks that attempt to create a feeling of depth. So a shadow is a very good way to create depth. But if you don't have shadow, then it looks like the whole scene is flat or fake, actually. So you have to understand also that every monitor is different. So the way that I see this might not be the same way that you see it right now on your iPhone or whatever. So it's always tricky to color correct things because you don't know what your final result will be like. But luckily for that, I actually recently bought the this little thing, and that's a Spider 5 Elite version. And this is supposed to display the screen correctly. So every time you're doing color correction, you can adjust your screen will be automatically adjusted the right way. I always love when stuff on the internet just starts to open by itself, like some kind of update that you don't want. Okay, let's get back to this.
Maria?
How could you do that to me? You kill the people you love, Alex?
What are you talking about?
Why did you deceive me?
You're always hiding something. Always tormented.
My headaches.
You're not even good at concealing your pain.
I trusted you.
I loved you!
So just like in my book, the main character also has these strong headaches suddenly. And, well, I mean, this mostly comes from myself, actually, because I occasionally have the bad headache, and that was just kind of an inspiration thing. My dad actually has much worse, used to have much worse than me, anyway. Anyway, that's a side story. Yeah, the headaches are a good transfer point from one reality to another. This intense pain. It's like, again, in the movie Inception, where they feel insane, intense pain, they wake up from that dream state. So, yeah, it's kind of the same idea. Well, again, because we're talking about the movie here, this moment is a little bit strange, but I used it again as a kind of beginning line for the book. In the book, that's a very minor spoiler actually, but she's washing the dishes in the kitchen and he comes in. So yeah, just for the movie we had to do this instead. So yeah, it's very strange. I don't know anybody who takes a shower with a bath towel on. But you have to remember also, I don't pay anyone. This is all volunteer basis. And a lot of people, well, actually 99.9% of people will just not get naked for free. But getting naked for money, that's okay though. No, but anyway, this is like a completely different culture, and people just don't do that. So we have to live with that. Whatever.
Where's the rush?
I must find out the truth.
Can you handle the truth, Alex?
How do you know my name?
I hear things. Fine. You might need this then. You should take these as well.
Again, in the book, this scene is there, but it's different. That's why I'm saying read the book. You'll definitely see how this movie ties into it. Okay, that's pretty much it. In the book, I changed this character instead of this random woman. Although, again, that's very appropriate, because if you ever, played Silent Hill, or if you know anything about Silent Hill universe, there are always some characters just suddenly popping out, sometimes with no backstory, at the beginning anyway. So, this is not like something weird, this is not something unusual. But in the book, though, this character is the psychologist. He's psychologist. And she plays a much more important role than just appearing for a minute or so, even less. As he's running up here, I wanted to give the idea that it's getting darker with each floor, so you can see that I lowered the brightness, probably increase the contrast a bit in every shot as he's going up. That's the point. He's going into, it's kind of a stairway to this other dimension. And so it was I thought it would be a good idea to use this darkness as a way to transfer from one to the other. And there, he's obviously running to his apartment. You can see in the background there are some creatures standing there, and he doesn't even notice them yet. But here, actually, this was shot on a different time. This is already night. This is not some effects. So we shot the running up scene during the day towards the evening, and then the final shots when it was already dark. So this is very, very Silent Hill. Again, if you know the game, you'll know that the kind of zombie nurses are a trademark of the series. And since I'm doing a Silent Hill named movie, then why not have the nurses? But of course, in the book, this scene is there once again, but it's different. It's actually, it's actually much more creepy. And we don't use nurses because we can't. Yeah, I mean, you start from one thing and you go to another. It makes you think about some more stuff. People might be wondering why he's doing that. Again, if you don't know Silent Hill, and I know that's probably the 1,000th time I say this already, these creatures are attracted by the light. So that's why he throws the flashlight down the tunnel and that it points away from him, actually, so that they follow it. That's the point. It's to distract them.
Who did this to you?
You shot me, you freak!
So remember, when she got shot in the shower, she didn't see actually who shot her. The clothing and stuff looks similar, so basically she thinks he did it.
Well, well. Isn't this like a cute little reunion? No tricks like that, man. Move! Move! Come on! I'm the one who used you as bait. And you're the one who always gets what I want. First Maria, and now Karen.
Jealous?
Don't piss me off, man. You make me sick. Oh, by the way, Maria was also, you know, she was good in bed.
So, you know, it's a pretty standard villain, I guess. He's basically, he wants what the other guy has, so he's jealous. You know, he gets all the women that he wants. And so he actually... Okay, you have to read the book to understand the background here. I'm not gonna tell too much spoilers, because there's no point then to sell the book if I, you know, tell you the whole story. You have to get the book, get the story.
Killed her. You know, nothing makes me more satisfied than seeing you know, pissed off and not having what you want. And when I kill you, Karen will be all mine.
Jerk! Ah!
Action sequences are never easy, especially on no or low budget. Just a word of warning. The way that you can do it is very short shots of something. And you have to be very careful, of course, because you have no stunt coordinators or stuff like that. You have to rely on people basically doing the right thing. And usually what happens is that actors will help each other out, especially if one has some kind of training. Then they can do a choreography together. I believe that this scene is exactly the same in the book. He also stabs him with this rusty pipe. Just want to, yeah, this anger that he builds up, it's just to push that pipe through the body.
I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Alex.
Forget it. Let's get out of here.
Don't jump to faulty conclusions. Jumping to conclusions is a logical fallacy.
Oh, can you please send an ambulance? I need to finish this.
God, what are those things?
Memories of Maria. Let's move.
So remember, they're attracted by the light and movement as well, but mostly the light. So I put some bone cracking noises in there as well to make it more, you know, to increase the impact.
A veil is cast over our future. A great unknown awaits us. We fight for our survival, to preserve the love we cherish, to keep on going.
Sir, where are you hurt?
Don't worry about me. Take care of her first. Karen?
Alex?
So she's like in a different universe, but it happens in that same bubble. And it was interesting because I sent this movie to film festivals, and there were some wins, by the way. You know, I don't want to sound like too arrogant or whatever, but the stuff that I do is actually pretty good if you delve into it. It's interesting because the reviewer, that was one festival that sent me a comment, so they commented on every submission that they got. And the guy actually said that this kind of explains the whole movie, that he's in a dream state, so it's not really real. That's very interesting because that is not what I was going for. I didn't tell, of course, the reviewer my comments, but it's interesting how people watch things and understand them. Definitely he didn't understand it the way that I wanted, but that's okay because he understood it in a different way, which is equally good in my opinion. Anyway, this is not meant to be a dream. This really happens. It's just they keep jumping between these two realities.
Karen!
Sir, please come with us.
Alex? Alex!
Come here. Pretty please, can you tell me where I am? You, won't you say something? I need to get my bearings. I'm lost, and the shadows keep on changing. And I'm haunted by the lies that I've loved and actions I have hated. Don't cry, there's always a way. Here in November, in this house of leaves, we'll pray. Please, I know it's hard to believe. See a perfect forest through so many splintered trees. You and me, and these shadows keep on changing. And I'm haunted by the lies that I've loved and actions I have hated. I'm haunted by the promises I made.
Well, that's it. That was kind of my thing back then. I used to you know, put my name at the very end, because I think that the people that helped me do it deserve more credit. Of course, yes, it's true that I'm the one who put it together. I'm the one who edited everything. The footage in this case was not fantastic. There were a lot of issues, especially with audio and some lighting issues as well. But still, yes, I deserve credit, but so do the other people. And of course, I do thank all the actors that worked on this project and all the crew. It was all on volunteer basis. Nobody got paid anything whatsoever, except the food. I do feed people at least. That's the least I can do. Anyway, yeah, this is interesting that it popped up today. It's a great kind of promotion for my book, which is right here once again, Beyond the Obscure. You can get it in print and ebook. Please do get it though. I really don't know what else I have to do. Do I have to dance naked or something and then promote it? I hope not. Anyway, it's hard to sell things, but please buy it, and if you like it, please share it with your friends. The ebook thing is much cheaper than the print. A lot of people read ebooks these days. I don't. I prefer the actual physical thing. But anyway, you have the options of both, so please do get it though. This is a very good book. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to add here, so I'm just gonna end this for this show, and I'm gonna keep going because I have to talk about the news. And I'm gonna rearrange that on the air. So first, I don't need to close this yet, but I need to stop it. Okay, I'm just gonna switch back to the big screen while I'm setting up. Okay. If people are watching, if you want to say something, please go ahead. There's a big chat there. You know, if you have any comments or anything like that. I always like to learn if there is something to learn. Okay, so just a couple of things here. I have to switch back here. Close that first. Okay. I think this is pretty much set up already, so I'll just throw in the intro again. So these are different shows, by the way. I just want to make sure. This eventually becomes two videos. So this is part 2 now. We're getting serious. Okay. I'm just checking that nothing strange is in the YouTube side video. Sometimes you open it up and there's some kind of almost a pornographic video in the side. We don't want that. This will be totally rejected. So okay, now I'm gonna go back to here. I don't need that. Let's leave that on. All right, just the date today is December 6th, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and welcome to Age of Reason News. This is episode 9, and I'm going to be talking about the news that covered the past week, the week of December 6th, 2018. Okay, so as usual, for people who don't know, I'm going to mainly talk about the news headlines, and I try to avoid the main big issues, because for those you can go to CNN or MSNBC or whatever. These places don't need more money. I do. The cool thing that happened yesterday, I was watching the SpaceX launch. It was a Dragon launch. So this goes straight to the ISS. It mostly carries supplies as well as science experiments. And I was watching this, and then this happened.
Burn, which helps to slow the rocket down horizontally. Shortly after this burn is initiated, the grid fins, which you can see right on your screen, located near the top of the first stage, are deployed, and they help guide the rocket during descent. Following the boost.
So I just want to say this is not normal. As soon as I saw that crazy spin, I was thinking, okay, this is it. We're done. They lost the booster, the stage 1. But let's keep watching. It's interesting what happens.
Boost back burn, Falcon 9 executes a re-entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense part of the atmosphere. Let's watch the action for a moment.
So they actually don't show anything after that. I don't know why, but they don't show anymore the accidents. They cut away to a safe shot. That's why we don't see anything like that. We don't see actual car crashes. Well, actually we do kind of, but usually it's cut out from the news. We barely see war coverage as well. It's mostly just the good stuff. People shooting, explosions, but people dying and stuff like that, nope, we can't show that. Anyway, this is the same mentality here. They cut away from it, and we are left to enjoy the stage 2, which was successful, by the way. It's on the way to the space station. It's expected to arrive on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so they cut away from that, but somebody from the ground kept shooting, and so they have this video. Okay, I'm just gonna redo that bit for the edit. I should probably not move the windows either. That's the thing, when you're working with 2 windows, it's hard to know which one you're clicking. Alright, let's just restart from here. So somebody from the ground kept shooting, this SpaceX team, I guess. And so this is the part 2 of what we just saw. So this is the rocket coming down. Not so much spin anymore, although it is spinning, you can still see the spin. And it's right now it's above the water. There's nothing there. So usually SpaceX lands either on a landing zone, which is on the ground, or on their autonomous landing boats. In this case, it was supposed to be a landing on the land, and because the rocket was spinning absolutely insane, it ended up over the water. And you can see the final moments here. It's extending the legs, the landing legs are extended. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, I only saw it this morning, so I thought last night it was gone, it was exploded. But apparently it landed on the water quite smoothly. So I think they recovered it by now. Anyway, that's pretty cool. Of course, the velocity is extremely minimal when it reaches the ground. So that's why, you know, it didn't just crash into the ocean. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. Now I can close this. And this. All right, so let's talk about the news headlines. Let's start with CNN. So the main story here is that Japan has so many vacant homes, it's giving some away, and foreigners can apply too. I'd have to read the article because a lot of the things about Japan are misrepresented by the media. It's like they had that thing about the virgins in Japan, and then you actually look into it, and the information is very, very strangely selected and not representing reality. So I'd have to read this article to be sure what they're talking about. Here's what I'll say though. Japan is extremely crowded nation. In our area right here, it's extremely urban. Yes, there are some parks, but it's mostly concrete and buildings. Not very exciting and not very good for the environment. if you have this type of situation, these homes, by the way, that especially they show in the picture, looks like an old home. I'm not saying it's not going to survive an earthquake, because a lot of buildings in Japan are designed to survive earthquakes. But it probably has structural issues from decades. So people who are buying these homes or getting them for free, you still have to renovate them, and that's going to cost a lot of money. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, of course, I actually wish they just removed some of these places and replaced them with parks, more vegetation, because that's what is necessary for the environment. We'll come back to the environment a little bit later on in the show, actually. Okay, so anyway, here it is. So that's going to be the second thing I covered today. This was a France. Okay, so France hiked up the prices of fuel starting from January 2019 by about 30% from what I read. So I have two comments here. And again, it's probably going to offend some people, but I really don't care, okay? We either change or we don't and we die. That's kind of the only alternative that there is. So the first thing is that I was going to say that kind of sudden hike is never going to be a very good idea with people. If the hike was implemented incrementally, so let's say, in the end, okay, just 1 second, because I see that the stream is kind of jumping around a little bit. I just don't want audio to be lost, because I don't have a copy of this. So if I lose this, then it's gone forever. Okay, just give it a moment. And just, sometimes the line needs to keep working for a while. I'm just going to disable some things that may be consuming bandwidth. Okay, we'll just go from here. Just get the mouse over here. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, so France hiked the prices of fuel that were supposed to kick in from January 2019 by about 30% from what I read. Here's the problem. If you impose such a high tax rate suddenly, people are going to freak out, and that's what we saw. That's why these protests in Paris happened. I think at the end of the day, these changes are necessary and they will hurt people's wallets, but people, that's the thing, you give people too much credit. You think that people will just change by themselves out of goodwill. That's why they say, don't force people to pay for something, just do it a charity instead. People will donate, right? Yeah, good luck with that. Look, I have my book here, and you think people have donated to me anything? No, nothing at all. So people, just out of their goodwill, are very unlikely to do something. That's just the reality. That's something that, one of the positions that I hold anyway. I'm very open to changing my mind with new evidence, but so far, I don't see anything positive. So, people want change, but people don't want to change. I think if this hike was implemented gradually, let's say, okay, eventually after 5 or 10 years, you do get to that 30% increase, but every year you increase by 2-3%, I think people might stomach it much better. We have to fight climate change. Climate change is not going away. The amount of gas in the atmosphere is not going away. Go away. Annoying cats scratching boxes. Just gonna redo this bit. The amount of gases in the atmosphere is not going away. It's accumulated. Everything that's up there right now is actually gonna keep affecting the planet for 10, 20, 30 years. So everything that we pump into it is basically extra. So we have to live with the effects for the next decades, and then that bonus, everything that we add right now. That's how it works. You know, magically, yeah, I wish that these gases floated away into space and disappeared or whatever, but that's not how physics works. That's not how reality operates. The best way to encourage action, unfortunately, is to hurt people. And to hurt people, what I mean by that is to hurt their wallets. People realize the most when you start taking their money. And if we don't do that, people will not just out of their goodwill start donating to something or start to buy electric cars, something like that. The government has to provide incentives to move people away from fossil fuels. Yes, you do have to abandon your dirty truck. You do have to buy a clean, green car. If anything, this fight against climate change should be a fight against pollution. Do you want to live in a polluted world, or do you want to live in a clean world? I think the choice is really obvious. The people who live, for example, near coal plants, they do suffer from respiratory problems, asthma and whatever. They get the black. It's basically like smoking and stuff like that. Ideally, if you want to choose this or you want to choose a solar power plant, I think the choice is obvious. Of course, you want to go for the solar plant. And there's a lot of myths about solar plants, by the way. People say that they're ineffective. But you know that the power that comes from coal plants is also really not 100% efficient. It's really far away from that, actually. Most of that is wasted when we transfer it via the cables, power cables. So anyway, I thought this was a pretty big story. I think people don't really get it. I think there is only one way to make people do something, and unfortunately, yeah, it does require government interference. It's necessary. Close this one so that it doesn't stay in there. Alright, so that's 2 stories so far. Not doing great. I would need a bit more material. But hopefully there's more stuff. Let's see. There's a related article here. I'm not sure which company they're talking about. I'd have to click on that. But it says world's biggest shipping company wants to be carbon neutral by 2050. Again, just a news flash. We don't have until 2050 to take such drastic action. Action is required right now. I know for a lot of people it's a lot to take in, you know. This is such a rapid change that we're experiencing in this span of basically 1 or 2 generations. People are not used to such change because we're used to kind of long stuff, things that take many hundreds, many centuries, many millennia to unfold. Like evolution, man, evolution takes forever to happen, millions of years we're talking about. And climate change, though, it happens within 1 or 2 generations. And I think people just can't wrap their minds around it, but they have to. This is the reality, and the quicker you understand it, the better for everybody. So yeah, if they want to be carbon neutral, that's fantastic. But by 2050, that's a lot of, we're talking a lot of emissions until 2050. Okay, I'm not sure. I think the world, I mean, unless really radical things, okay, unless things radically change, I think the world in 2050 will look really different from what it looks now. This is the same article that's up there, by the way. So it's here twice, here and here. That's CNN. I mean, seriously, who checks these things anyway? For people who are watching or just joining us, I'm just reading through the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't prepare these things because I want to think as I go along. That's the point. If you're always giving digested material, I mean, if you're fed with a spoon by the media, then you're not doing any critical thinking yourself. You're basically kind of, you have to accept on faith whatever other people tell you. So yeah, I don't live like that. So okay. It's just nothing in particular I want to cover here. Good thing for editing, I can definitely cut out all those dead spots here. Well, this article actually is not a new article because I've seen it, man, many months ago. The rise of South Korea's loner culture, but I don't think this is limited to South Korea. I think this happens more and more recently. And in fact, I just had a conversation about that on Facebook because I'm a nihilist. I don't think there is inherent meaning to anything in life. I know that some, of course, you know, you have some objectives. I have objectives every day, but do they really matter though? Not really. You know, I do 3D art. I make movies. I do the show. But in the grand scheme of the universe, though, do these things matter? I don't know. I don't think so. Okay, so then you might ask me, the natural question is, then why bother living? Well, look, doesn't mean that I'm gonna jump to suicidal. well, a lot of nihilists seem to be. But look, I still have some responsibilities. I still have people I care about, and people especially that care about me. Some, not many. If I, you know, end my life, it will impact them. They will feel, I mean, they have to live with that. I will still leave some kind of gap in their life, in their existence. So yeah, I don't want to do that. What I'm saying is, though, yeah, I just don't see the meaning of anything, really. Which also means that I am not so great at feeling emotions. I mean, you know, when people get overly happy or overly sad, I understand, of course, the situation, if it's a tragedy or a comedy, but I don't know. So this loner culture thing, I think it's also very present in Japan. I forgot the word in Japanese, but there is a category of people here who basically are loners. It's not the otaku people, because that's different. That's a completely different thing. But anyway, that's how they live. So the question really is, why are people so lonely? We have, you know, a lot of people these days have cell phones. We have computers. It seems that we can be connected to anybody in the world. In fact, my last language teacher, he used to teach somebody in Africa over Skype. So you can connect all the way from Japan to someone in Africa and, you know, teach a language, for example, or teach anything. I think that's great. So where does this loneliness come from then? Well, in my opinion, even though the world we are more connected to other people, we have at least the opportunity to be connected, but we don't. We actually go the other way around and we become antisocial. And we don't want to be connected to people, because it seems that the more we find out about certain people, the less we want to know them. So, I don't know, that might be just me. Look, I'm not trying to push, this is not some kind of propaganda or some agenda. This is just the way that I live. All I want is understanding. I don't push it on anybody. If you don't want to be a nihilist, be free. Go be whatever you want. I'm just trying to explain from where I come from. And by the way, this position that I hold is not something that I've always held, but you know, this is normal, because when you're growing up, when you're a student in high school, university, whatever, you're often not at the reasoning age yet, let's just say, although I did my best from that age. When I was younger, I often didn't enjoy hanging out with people of my age, but I enjoyed hanging out with people older than me. The reason for that was I wanted to learn something new. It's very unlikely I will learn something new from a person my age. But older person has more experience, so, you know, I'm open to that. I always grew up with the idea that you have to listen to people who are wiser than you. It's not always the case. A lot of people associate, for example, being old with being wise, but that's not always the case. There are old people who are dumb as a bag of sand, you know? It all depends how you grew up and how you got old. If you spent your entire life drinking and looking at porn, well, I don't expect you to have much knowledge then. Don't expect you to have many things to teach me. But if you read stuff, if you're interested in research, then yeah, then I'm all for that. So yeah, I think as on one hand we seem to be more connected to everybody, but on the other hand we don't want to connect to people. I probably have more to say on that. I mean, it would help if people asked questions in the chat, because you know, it's always great to have a Q&A instead of me just talking, because I sometimes can get lost in what I'm saying. But Well, actually, this one is pretty curious. Okay, again, I don't know the context. I have to read it, but it says this woman opened a sex shop for women, and then the backlash started. She's black, so I'm assuming that she's Africa, or at least an African American or something like that. I just want to talk about sex for a while, actually. I think it's interesting that sex is still kind of big taboo subject for many people. And I'm not saying that, you know, you should post, you know, you need to make love to women or men, to your wife or with your wife or whatever, and then, you know, upload it on Facebook. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Some people do enjoy that, though. And I'm not criticizing them for doing that, you know, whatever. I'm just still thinking that it's funny that it's a taboo subject. Even when you go out and talk to people, as soon as you bring up sex, you can see that they're tightening up. And I just don't understand why. I think, again, it depends like how much you talk about. I mean, with some people, they tell me a lot of details, maybe too much. But for me, I don't care. Seriously, I really don't. I think just talking about it generally is okay. I don't think it's something you should run away from unless you have some kind of insecurities that we don't know about. Otherwise, it's almost just a topic like anything else that should be discussed and open. That's it for CNN. So let's look at the BBC. I just wanted to comment on this very quickly because it says the world's most controversial K-pop band. I don't know who they are. I have friends who probably know who they are. The thing is, like, I really don't care about pop in general. I have a playlist of music on my PC. There's barely any pop in there. Sorry, that's just not my cup of tea at all. Again, this comes because I want to get some kind of information, some kind of knowledge, even from music. So yeah, it's true that my choice is pretty limited, but you know, I listen to a lot of soundtrack music. It can be from anime, games, movies as well. That's fine. I do enjoy rock and metal, some metal anyway. Of course, the music that I listen to is less than 1% of all the music out there. But K-pop and pop, though, yeah, that's I actually find it extremely detrimental and often degrading to societies. Okay, I'm just gonna pause here for a second. I'm still doing, so please be quiet. Let me finish this, and then we can go out. What ready? It's ready. Oh, really? Okay, then just raining hard? Well, anyway, we'll have to see then. Anyway, I need 5 or 10 minutes. Gio, be quiet. Stop scratching that thing. Okay, gonna go from here. So the thing about K-pop I don't understand is, first of all, of course, a lot of it is in Korean. A lot of people don't speak Korean. Then why do they enjoy it? And also, it's kind of curious that K-pop is popular, but J-pop isn't. So Japanese pop is really not so common. You don't hear about these bands going out and touring somewhere. But K-pop, though, for some reason, it gained popularity, and I, for one, don't understand why. I told you I'm shooting right now. Don't do that. Just, I need 5 or 10 minutes just to finish this. There's one little article here. It says what flying in virtual reality does to your mind. So actually at home I have a simulator. It's the Flight Simulator X from Microsoft. It's pretty good, especially if you buy the paid aircraft. The free ones, there's really not much to do. You can take off without really doing anything. But with the paid ones, that's where you start to really push every single button, and you can really control your airplane. I just want to say this though, for people with flight anxiety. I used to have flight anxiety as a kid. I used to, you know, every time the plane would go up and down, I would grab into the seat and hold on, thinking that would actually do anything. Learning about flying though, even though with a simulator, really helped me to cope with that situation. So again, if you can afford it, I do recommend getting the gear, because knowledge does help in things. If you know certain things, then the fear percentage is reduced. There's one little add-on here. It says warming made heat wave 30 times more likely, and this is in the UK. Again, if you don't really buy into the whole science of climate change, then at least you can listen to me, because I have a couple of thermometers outside and I measure temperature every day. What did I notice? And I will show it eventually when I have a bit more data, but I have about 3 years of data right now, every day. I take the temperature at exactly 1 o'clock in the morning, and the reason for that is it's just in the middle of the night. So in Japan, the sun often goes down, it sets quite early, and it rises relatively early as well. So 1 a.m. is right in the middle there. And what I noticed that, especially this year, on average, we're talking about every month having an increase of between 1.5 to even about 2.5 degrees. Okay, it's true my instruments are not very precise, but it still gives a pretty good idea of what's going on. Okay, there's nothing else here, so I'm gonna end on that note. Just gonna switch to the other screen. Here we go. All right, that's it for... That's the thing. When you talk too much, you start to lose your ability to talk. All right, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed what I do. And if you do enjoy, then please subscribe and check out all the links in the description. Thanks. Just gonna keep it rolling a bit so that the stream catches up. Okay, let's see around here. It's still recording actually. All right, that should be okay. Alright, so for the few people who are watching, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, and that will be a Age of Reason episode proper.